Welcome back again to my channel. This is Captain Sherry, and today we are going to discuss about RAM versus NUC. The main topic will be who is responsible between both the vessels, and the second topic will be which rule you will be presenting in front of a surveyor justifying the responsibilities between both of them. Right? So if you pay attention on the screen, first you need to know what is a NUC or what is a RAM. A vessel not in the command is engaged in exceptional circumstance. So it is engaged in exceptional circumstance because of a cause beyond her control. Understood or not? So what is NUC? It is going through some exceptional circumstances, right? There can be n number of causes, which we'll be discussing later in the video, and it is beyond her control. That is first thing. What is RAM? RAM, on the other hand, is vessel restricted on her ability to maneuver and is engaged in a current circumstance because of the nature of her work. Okay, right? Because of the nature of her work. And that is what a RAM is. So there is a difference between NUC and a RAM. Okay, right? NUC is exceptional circumstances beyond her control, and RAM is current circumstances, okay, which is because of the nature of her work, which is in her control. Understand that first, right? Okay, let's go further ahead. Now, why this question becomes so important to the surveyors that tell me who will take action between RAM and NUC. If you see rule number 18, okay, it defines responsibilities between the vessels. Okay, so that is the extract from your ROR. Okay, and if I take a synopsis of all these points which are written in rule number 18, okay, it says this: responsibilities between a vessel. Okay, so a sailing vessel underway keeps out of a way of a vessel not under command, RAM, and vessel engaged in fishing. That is this vessel. All right. Okay, and then power driven vessel will keep out of vessel not under command, RAM vessel, vessel engaged in fishing, and sailing vessel. And then if I talk about RAM, RAM will have privilege over PDV, sailing vessel, fishing vessel, and CBD. Right? A fishing vessel will keep out of a way of vessel not under command and restricted in her ability to maneuver, RAM vessel. And a vessel NUC, okay, will have a privilege over PDV, sailing vessel, fishing vessel, and vessel constrained by draft. And that is crystal and clear in rule number 18 if you read that. Okay, that is what I have represented to you on this particular chart. Right? Now, is there anything which is written about RAM versus NUC in rule number 18? That is a question which you should ask now. And the answer will be no, nothing is there. Right? Okay. So whatever extract which I showed you from the ROR, okay, and then I showed you this picture. It says about every vessel. It says about sailing vessel and her obligation. It says about PDV. It says about RAM. It says about fishing vessel, and it says about NUC and which vessel will have privilege over what vessel, and what vessel shall keep out of a way of other vessel. Everything is written in that rule except RAM and NUC. Okay, right? And that is why this question becomes very, very important to surveyors. And that is why they ask, so that they know whether you have the understanding of proper rules or not. Okay, right? Now, so where do I find the answer for this? So I go back to the definitions Let's see if something is in the definition. Is there any hint in the definition or not? Okay, right? So if I go to the definitions, okay, and these are basically the definitions, okay, right? So I am checking out the definitions now. And in these definitions, I have taken out paragraph for vessel not under command and vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. And if you pay attention, the term, okay, and the term, okay, it is written, the term vessel not under command means a vessel which through some exceptional circumstances is unable to maneuver as required by these rules and is therefore unable to keep out of a way of other vessel. Right? Okay. So please pay attention to this. Definitions, you will see two kind of things. One is the word and one is the term. Okay. So today when you'll be reading the ROR, please pay attention to this. One is the word and other is the term. Now, the term and the word has some difference. If they're talking about the word, it means it is applicable to all. Okay, so it is generic. It is applicable to every vessel. It is applicable to all the vessels. The word vessel means. Okay, so whatever qualifies for a vessel, it is applicable for that. But the term is more specific. The term is more specific. Understand that. So the first thing is generic. Okay, so I'm going to erase all and say it is generic. And the term is more specific. So the term vessel not under command means a vessel which through some exceptional circumstances is unable to maneuver, okay, as required by these rules and is therefore unable to keep out of a way of other vessel. Right? Okay, now what about paragraph G? It says the term vessel restricted in her ability means a vessel which from the nature of her work is restricted in her ability to maneuver as required by these rules and is therefore unable to keep out of a way of another vessel. Okay, right? Now, the term vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver shall include but not limited to. So they will be giving some example of some of the vessels, but you should not only look for only those vessels which are written in the ROR book, but there can be other examples also of a RAM vessel. Right? Okay. So definitions have just told us that not under command. What is the most important word? Exceptional circumstances. Exceptional circumstances. That is what I've picked from there. Okay. And RAM, I have picked nature of her work. There are two things which I have picked from the definition. So first is exceptional circumstances and the other is nature of a work. And that is the two hints which I am going to take out of the definition. The rest all is same. Both are not able to maneuver as required by these rules and is therefore unable to keep out of a way of other vessel. That line is same. Only the difference between the two is these two things, and which is clearly mentioned, exceptional circumstances and nature of work. And that is what I picked from here and I have placed it over here. Right? Okay, let's go further ahead. These are the example of RAM vessel, okay, which has been given to you. So these are the examples of RAM, okay, but they are not only limited to this, okay, right? Okay. So you have vessel engaged in laying, servicing, or picking up a navigational mark, submarine cable, or a pipeline. A vessel engaged in dredging, surveying, or underwater operation, that is dredger. Okay. A vessel engaged in uh, replenishment or transferring persons or provision or cargo while underway. Okay, so that is there. And then a vessel engaged in launching or recovery of aircraft, which is aircraft carrier. And then mine clearance vessel is also there. And then tug and tow, but the tow, okay, of the towing vessel, okay, should restrict her ability to deviate from the course. Okay, so normal tug and tow, okay, is PDV. Okay, but if she's engaged in a towing operation such that, towing vessel in her tow is severely restricting, okay, her ability to deviate from the course, and then only it will be qualifying as a RAM. Okay, so you're not limited to only these examples. All right, there are many other examples also which can be considered, like your search and rescue, right, can also be included in this. Okay, right, and then your rig movements, okay, can also be considered, okay, for this. Okay, right. Okay, now again we're coming to a question, NUC versus RAM. Okay, so what we have learned here is that rule number 18, nothing is written. Okay, we've gone through that chart, we've gone through the paragraphs also, nothing is written. Okay, so no responsibility is defined between NUC and RAM, and we are only come to a conclusion that we have got some information that NUC is because of exceptional circumstances, right? So I'm going to write this exceptional circumstances on the screen, okay? And what we have got for RAM, okay? What we have got for RAM is nature of a work. Right, so there are two things, exceptional circumstances and nature of a work, which I extracted from the definition, and that was the only difference between the two vessels. Okay, now let's define first NUC's exceptional circumstances, right? Okay, so if I think over it, I will be thinking a lot of things, like say a vessel can have a steering failure, right? Okay, it can have a steering failure or it can have a main engine failure, right? It can have a blackout. Why not? All right. All the bridge equipments have emergency source of supply, but we are considering a blackout. Okay, right? Or failure of a backup supply, you can say. Okay. It can also be any kind of emergency, right? It can be, say, fire. It can be, say, a collision, right? Okay. So all those kind of emergencies will also qualify as exceptional circumstances. Understood or not? Right? Okay. Now, what about nature of a work? So nature of a work, we've already discussed. It can be, it is doing a work of pipelines, or it is a dredger, or say it is doing a cargo transfer, right? or it might be an aircraft carrier, or it might be a mine clearance vessel, right? It might be a towing ram, right? Okay, so all those things will qualify as, a nature of a work, right? A nature of a work. Now, as I told you that Rule 18 defines responsibilities between all set of vessel except NUC and RAM. Okay, and as per definition, we know that these are exceptional circumstances with respect to NUC, and because of the nature of work, RAM is unable to, unable to keep out of a way of other vessel, right? Okay. Now, one more thing I would like to highlight over here, okay, to all the people who are seeing the videos, okay, right? See, not under command, if I say it is a vessel that is at the mercy, if I say this vessel is at the mercy of winds and sea, it will not be wrong, right? Because if there is a steering failure and a main engine failure, okay, and say a blackout or there is an emergency that, if I simplify that, that vessel might be only at the mercy of winds and sea, right? Okay, so this not only puts her safety at risk, but also the safety of other vessels which are sailing nearby, right? So what NUC should do at the first place is they should actually transmit information to the nearby ships by the means of VHF. So what they have to do transmission, right, by VHF and AIS, okay, and make sure that all the vessels know that you are the NUC. And then, of course, supplement it with the light and shapes also as per your international collision regulations are concerned. Right? Now, I've seen numerous vessels use NUC option of navigation status menu in an inaccurate way. What they do is, they are just drifting and they put NUC lights, which is not correct. Okay, and when the VTS calls them and they say that, "Are you NUC? Are you are you having any trouble?" Then they say, "No, no, no. We are ready. When is our pilot?" And that is, not correct. Okay, that is not correct. Okay, so you cannot put your NUC status just like that. You have to be careful. Okay, so if you have situations like that, okay, say a steering failure or a main engine failure or a blackout, emergency, fire or a collision, then only you should exercise, okay, that. Otherwise, you are a normal, say if I consider your PDV vessel, okay, on a screen, you are a normal PDV vessel which is underway. Understood or not? Right? Now, between NUC and RAM, NUC vessel have to stay in this situation until the problem is solved. Say, for example, they are having a main engine failure. So they will stay in a situation until the problem is solved. Okay. But RAM, on the other hand, can freely choose when she is going to operate as one, and if necessary, she can even delay or cancel the commencement of working also, right? Okay, so in this case, between NUC and RAM, okay, RAM is in a better position, okay, to take action. What she can do, she can stop her work. That is the first thing she can do in this kind of situation, okay, or she can, delay. She can delay the commencement of the job. Understood or not? So there is a risk of collision between NUC and RAM. RAM RAM is in a better position because she has got options, right? Why she has got options? I told you, she has got options because of only one reason, and that is, she is in a better position. Why? Why? Because here you are at the mercy of winds and seas only, right? You have no other option as far as NUC is concerned, okay? In very simple term. On the other hand, RAM can stop her work, okay, and delay the commencement of her job or work, whatever it is. So RAM has got options, right? NUC has got no option. And that is why I said you should be very, very careful when you are putting a status as the NUC. Understood or not? Okay, right? Right? So I would say the answer, after looking at the definitions, we say, our seamanship says that, RAM is in a better position because she has got options. She can stop her work or she can delay the commencement of her work, right? So now I've arrived to an answer that if there is a situation between NUC and RAM, okay, RAM is in a better position, right? Okay, so when you are answering, you can answer like this, okay? You can define the terms called exceptional circumstances and you can define the term called nature of a work. That is the only difference between the two vessels. And then you give examples to a surveyor and then you tell them why RAM is in a better position, because NUC is at the mercy of winds and sea, right? On the other hand, RAM has got two options, whether she can stop a work or she can delay the commencement of a work. Now, a surveyor might go further ahead and he might ask you a question where he might say that, okay, you've given me answer, but which rule, okay, will define this, right? So if you go to rule number 2, right, there are two things which you can tell a surveyor that because of this rule and because of the lines written in this rule, I am taking this particular action. Understood or not? Okay, I am taking this particular action. And what is this action? So the first paragraph says there is something called ordinary practice of a seaman. Okay, that is the first thing. Or by a special circumstances of a case, right? Okay, so the condition of NUC might qualify, okay, under special circumstances of the case, as well as you are also required, if you are a master or OW of RAM, you are also required to practice ordinary practice of a seaman. Understood or not? Right? Okay. Now, what about paragraph 2B? It says a very important line: in constructing and complying with these rules, due regard shall be had to all dangers of navigation, collision, and to any special circumstances. So there are special circumstances, including the limitation of vessel involved. And this limitation, okay, also connects you to NUC. NUC has got limitations now, okay, because of a limitation, because of a steering failure, and because of say a main engine failure, okay, she is not able to take action. Understood or not? Right? So you can say, as per rule number 2B, limitation of vessel is involved and there are some special circumstances of that vessel, and that is why I am obliged to take the action. Now you know the final action has to come from rule number 8 itself. Okay, and rule number 8A also says the same thing, right? If you read rule number 8A, any action taken to avoid collision shall be in accordance with rules of this part and shall, if the circumstances of case admit, be positive. So what rule 8 is saying? Whatever action you are taking, it should be positive, taken in the ample time, and it should be with regard to good seamanship. Right? So again, the good seamanship part connects you back to the ordinary practice of a seaman, which is actually at 2A. Right? Okay, understood? Now, if surveyor is saying, so you can say, sir, as per which rule? Okay, so you can just say, sir, as per rule 2B, the final action will come from rule 2B, right? Because it is talking about two things: special circumstances and it is also talking about limitation of vessel. Understood or not? Okay. Now, there is one more thing I would like to tell you, and that is, if you are, say, the officer watch over here, okay, or say you are a master over there at RAM, right? Okay. So, NUC, as I told you, can display these lights because of n number of reasons: steering failure or main engine failure, or say it can have a blackout, okay, or it might have a fire, and the fire in the accommodation might raise to such a level that it can go into the engine room, destroy your engine, or say engine power, or it might be a fire uh, in the engine room itself. Okay, or maybe if you are here and suddenly you see, say for example, a fire over here. Okay, there is a fire on deck. Okay, and this fire might spread and it might also hamper the visibility of that vessel, and obviously they'll be fighting a fire, they'll be busy in that. Plus this fire can spread onto the accommodation, and then it can also destroy the bridge equipments as well. Okay, right, right. So even if you're seeing what kind of emergency is there, say it is evident to you that there is a fire there, okay, you don't know what next it will lead to, or what next failure it will lead to. So it is always better that you leave your work as a OW or a master. Obviously, OW will call the master and explain him the situation about this, and master, on the other hand, will order every operation to be stopped. Say, for example, you're a dredger, you're doing dredging, stop your dredging operation, and then take action. Because once you leave your operation, remember, a RAM becomes a PDV, right? Once you leave your operations, you're not RAM anymore. You become a PDV, right? Okay. And once you become a PDV, you can take action accordingly, right? All right. You can take action accordingly. Understood or not? Okay. Right. Also, I would like to tell you that it is also has to be mentioned that call rigs do not include fishing vessels, okay, or sailing vessels, okay, as RAM. So make a note of it. Okay, fishing vessel and sailing vessel, as per call rigs, it is not considered to be a RAM, as it considers these vessels to be in a better condition to start an escape maneuver. Understood or not? Because call rig knows that vessel engaged in fishing or a sailing vessel, okay, they can start a escape maneuver, okay, okay, immediately. Understood or not? Okay, so they will not qualify as a RAM, okay, as stated in rules 18B and 18C. Understand that. Okay, right? So I hope this clarifies your answers. I will just repeat it again. So between NUC and RAM, RAM is in a better position. Okay, why? Because of these two words: exceptional circumstances and nature of her work. So nature of work, her work, she can leave her work or she can delay her work. Okay, so she is in a better position. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that which you need to know is that once he will ask you what and from where you took this action, so you can take the surveyor to rule number 2B, where it is written that my action is coming from rule 2B because it talks about special circumstances. NUC is facing some special circumstances, and give him the examples as well, and then you tell him that not only the special circumstances, there are limitation of vessel which are also involved. Oh, all right. Okay. So thank you for watching this video. We'll come back with some more videos.